Ortonville Village Council meeting for September 21st, 2021. It is 7 p.m. and we would like to call this meeting to order. Thank you. We'd like to begin with our Pledge of Allegiance, and I believe that is Pat George's turn, please.
I've done one of these already, so I know what to do. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Next up, we're looking for a roll call, please. Dylas. Absent with notice. George.
Present.
Green.
Yes.
Hayden.
Here.
Nigel.
Here.
Randazzo.
Here.
Rice. Here. Thank you. Item number 4 this evening is the approval of our agenda.
I would like to make a change to the agenda.
So what we're looking for is a motion of something to start and then a suggestion.
I make a motion
All right.
to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
All right. We have motion on the table to approve the agenda as presented. Do we have any questions or comments, Millie?
Yes, I would like to suggest moving from unfinished business. We have the audit firm here and also Pete Burkett, I believe he's coming. If we could move both of those up to 9, actually, before the approval of consent agenda. I know it's Pete's birthday, and then also the auditor could get out of here. He has a distance to go.
Is that a motion?
I will make it a
Not
motion.
yet.
I would like to make a motion to move the audit and also the planning commission appointment to number 9 on the agenda.
It would become number 10, correct?
I was going to move it before the consent agenda items.
So it would become number 9.
So we're become 9.
Correct.
Okay. I would be able to support that. Unless
So new
Ryan is
business.
that totally out of order, because consent, or consent agenda usually it just goes by real quick.
So new business A and B would become 9A and B.
Mm-hmm.
And new business C would become 13A. Is that correct?
Wait a minute, what did you do? New business
Yes.
what?
I don't know.
C would become 13A. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, making sure before we get started. Any other questions or comments?
Steve's wayfinding, what are you talking about, Steve?
It would become A,
Okay,
because A and B would become 9A and B.
okay.
Melanie, you did make a motion?
I did.
And it was supported by?
Pat?
Thank you. All right, any questions or comments on the new motion? All right, Jenna, please.
George.
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Hayden.
Yes.
Nigel.
Yes.
Randazzo.
Yes.
Rice.
Yes. That motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much. Next up, item number 5 is our approval of our current council minutes. We'll take those separately. We have the regularly scheduled minutes of regular meeting minutes, of August 23rd. Then we have the special joint meeting minutes of August 31st, and that would be the Brandon Fire Department joint meeting.
I make a motion to approve the agenda minutes from August 23rd, 2021.
Support.
Motion on the table by Trustee Randazzo, supported by Trustee Hayden. Questions, comments?
I have a comment under trustee items. Number 6, Parks and Rec. We had said we would do beautification awards up to 3, it wouldn't be 3 every time. Just if we could change to select up to 3.
Any questions on that, issues? Are we good?
Where is that at?
Number 6, Parks and Rec,
Oh,
where it says, and plan to select 3, I would like plan to select up to 3.
It's under trustee committee updates, Pat.
Are we good with that? Any other changes, comments, questions? All right, so we are looking to amend the motion.
sure. I'll amend my motion to include the corrections that trustee Green requested.
I'll support the amended motion.
Questions or comments on the revised motion? All right, Jenna, please.
Green,
Yes.
Yes.
Nivell,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Rice.
Yes. That motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Next up is the Brandon Fire Department joint meeting minutes from August 31st, 2021.
Make a motion to accept the special council meeting minutes dated August 31st, 2021.
Support.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Jenna, please.
Hayden,
Yes.
Nivell,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Rice.
Yes. Thank you. Next up is item number 6, which is our acceptance items for the September 27th meeting. This is the village treasurer's report for August 2021, the revenue and expenditures, which end August 31st, 2021, and the tax payments as of September 14th, 2021. Item number 7 is the approval of our disbursements, and what we are looking at is the payables ending September 15th, 2021. Looking for a motion for those, please.
We list off all of these individually.
The
In the motion?
disbursements? We're looking for a motion for those to pay.
Jump down.
I would make a motion to accept the disbursements as they're listed here. Do I have to be more specific? The treasurer's report, revenue and expenditures, tax payments, payables, those 4.
Okay, that was item number 6, which were the acceptance items.
Got it.
We're on item number 7, which is the approval of disbursements.
Yeah, I would make a motion
So-
to accept those.
Okay. Would you mind adding the total in your motion, please?
In the amount of $43,226.17.
Support.
We have a motion on the table by trustee George, supported by trustee Hayden. Questions or comments at this time?
Nivell,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Rice.
Yes. And that motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Item number 8 is the public comments. At this time, this is on agenda items only. Please keep in mind there is a 3-minute limit per speaker. At this time, it's on agenda items. Further on, we will have non-agenda items, and we would love to hear from anybody at this time on agenda items. All right, hearing none, we will move on to item number 9, which is currently the new business, Village 2021 audit presentation. And we welcome with us this evening Aaron. Thank you, Aaron Stevens. And it's your floor, please.
Thank you. So tonight you have in front of you the final copy of the audited financial statements as well as a presentation handout. So the presentation handout you have is the same as what's up on the screen there. I'll warn you, I did not duplicate the financial statements and throw them into the presentation. I thought that I did not do that. But a couple general comments. Our thanks to Beth for all her help, everything that she does throughout the audit process and beyond. The audit field worked very well. We were on site last year. I think we were 100% remote. Is that true? We came out for a day.
Once for payroll stuff.
Yeah, and so it's been a combination of on-site field work versus remote field work, but it still went very smoothly. So I plan to highlight what I think are the key areas. If you've got questions, feel free to stop me anytime, and we can go through those. With that, I always like to remind everyone that the purpose or the objective of an audit is to express opinions on financial statements. The purpose of an audit is not to detect fraud or give an opinion on your internal controls. Now, if we find fraud, we certainly have a responsibility to communicate that to you. That would be done in the form of a written report on internal control, but that's a byproduct of the audit itself. The purpose of the audit is to express opinions on financial statements. So the independent auditor's report is presented on pages 1 and 2 of the bound financial statements, and I've included a few paragraphs here, just 3, again, to highlight that report. This first slide here is the second paragraph on page 1, and here we highlight the management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements. That does include the internal control over that preparation and fair presentation. These financial statements are yours, they're not ours. In the next paragraph down, this is the third paragraph on page 1 of the bound report. And this highlights that we are responsible, as I said earlier, for the opinions on the financial statements. And those opinions are based on our audit. So then we express our opinions in the first paragraph on page 2. And we've expressed what we refer to as unmodified opinions on the financial statements. And you can tell they're unmodified because it reads, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. That is the unmodified opinion. Clean opinion, that is the highest level of assurance that we can provide for a set of financial statements. That's what you want to see as a council. To put that into some perspective for you, there are 3 types of opinions. You have the unmodified opinions. We could have expressed a qualified opinion. And a qualified opinion might read something like, except for capital assets, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects. We could have expressed an adverse opinion where the financial statements do not present fairly the financial position of the village of Ortonville. The only other alternative that we have as auditors would be to disclaim an opinion altogether. We did not audit your financial statements, or we could not audit your financial statements. And then presumably we would go on to tell you why we couldn't do that. But those are the options. You do have the highest level of assurance that we can provide for a set of financial statements. And again, that's what you want to see as a council. The report that you have in front of you, the bound report, does consist of 2 sets of financial statements. You have government-wide financial statements, and then you have fund-level financial statements. The government-wide financial statements are prepared on a full accrual basis of accounting, and what that means to you is that they primarily have a long-term perspective. These government-wide financial statements for any government are only prepared once a year. The only time you see this is in your audit report. So with that, again, I did not duplicate the financial statements. I've got a few slides here a few metrics that I like to look at. Start with the statement of net position. This is presented on page 8. And the statement of net position is a snapshot as of June 30th, 2021 of your assets, your liabilities, and your net position, which is the difference between the 2. And again, a couple of financial performance indicators that I like to look at, one being the current ratio. If you take your current assets divided by your current liabilities, it provides a measure of liquidity. So it tells you how able or capable you are of meeting your current obligations with your current financial resources. Can you pay your bills in a timely manner? So your current ratio as of June 30th was 24.6. So you can cover your current obligations nearly 25 times over as of June 30th. So excellent current ratio. The other area that I like to look at is the unrestricted portion of your net position compared to the expenses for the year. And that tells you how long you can operate at the current level of service before you needed to generate any additional revenue. So that calculation gives you 87%. So that's several months worth of operations before you need to generate any additional revenue. Again, sound financial condition, healthy condition. And we'll look at that. We'll look at a similar metric when we get to the fund level financial statements in a few slides. The other government-wide statement is a statement of activities. This would be the income statement in the business world. So your operating statement, it's a little backwards because it starts with expenses in the left-hand column. And this is presented on page 9. Starts with expenses in the left-hand column, reads left to right. You add in your program revenues to those expenses to come up with a net revenue or net expense on the right-hand side of the page. And then as you read down the page, you add in your general revenues. And by definition, your general revenues would include property taxes, state share revenue, investment earnings, and so forth. So the important line here, the third line from the bottom, is the change in that position. And you improved your net position by $128,000 for this fiscal year. All right, then we get into the governmental fund financial statements. These are presented on pages 10 through 13, as the slide indicates. Under governmental fund financial statements, they are prepared under the modified accrual basis of accounting. So under modified accrual accounting, you don't see long-term items in the balance sheet, such as capital assets, long-term debt, compensated absences, and so forth. This should be a more familiar presentation for you. This is the level at which your budgets are prepared, and the interim reporting that you see throughout the year is done at the fund level. So we get to the balance sheet. The balance sheet is presented on page 10. Also a snapshot as of June 30th, 2021 of your assets, liabilities, and in this case, the difference between the two is fund balance. So I focused on the general fund here for purposes of the presentation because the general fund is your operating fund. Your general fund total fund balance, $505,785 as of June 30th. Now there are 5 potential classifications of fund balance, so that total at 505 can be broken down into non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned portions. When we're talking about what you have available for future use, the first 3 categories, non-spendable, restricted, and committed, all have some level of constraint. Something it has earmarked those funds. Assignments are also earmarks, but are less rigid. You can assign and unassign fund balance as you see fit. So I take the assigned and unassigned portions of your fund balance and refer to that as unrestricted. Now you don't happen to have any assigned fund balance here at the village. So what I've done is you take the unrestricted or unassigned fund balance of $493,000, compare that to your annual expenditures for the year of $386,667. You've got 128% available for future use. And so, again, for some perspective here, the Government Finance Officers Association recommends that you maintain a minimum fund balance in your general fund that is equal to 2 months worth of normal operations. And that's a minimum fund balance. Well, 2 months worth of normal operations, 2 out of 12 is 17%. You're at 128. You're doing very well financially. So nearly 2 years, no, not 2 years worth of operations, but several months worth, well over a year and a quarter. Again, high level here, for the general fund total revenues of $503,000, that was an increase of about $27,000 over 2020 revenues, for about 6%. Total expenditures of $386,000, that was a decrease of about $29,000. So revenues are up, expenditures are down. You added to your fund balance $117,000 this fiscal year on a modified accrual basis. Because I know everyone likes the graphs better than they like the financial statements, this shows you a 5-year trend of your general fund revenues, expenditures, and total fund balance. As you can see, you're added to your fund balance in 3 of the past 5 years. You did use quite a bit in 2018. You used just a slight amount in 2019. The other 3 years, revenues exceed expenditures, and you add to your fund balance. But just comparing that revenue line to your total fund balance line in 2021, you can see you're doing very well. And then this line right here shows you that unassigned fund balance compared to your expenditures for the past 5 years. Keeping in mind that GFOA recommendation is 17%, you've exceeded 17% each of the last 5 years. As I said, at 128% for 2021. In terms of the composition of your general fund revenue, property taxes at 58%, it was 59% in the previous year. Intergovernmental, which would include any federal, state, or local revenues, at 34%. They were 29% in the previous year. On the expenditure side, composition of your general fund expenditures, general government at 50%, it was 47% in 2020. Public works at 29%, those were 34% in 2020. So a little bit of a shift, but really not terrible, not a significant shift. We did issue a couple comments and recommendations. That was a newsletter that's stuck in the back reports. on material journal entries proposed by the auditors, and the other one is on segregation of duties. I think we had 2 journal entries. So not a significant number, but we are under the auditing standard required to comment on them. So that was the first comment. The segregation of duties comment, you have a small office staff. It's going to be really difficult to address this, but again, we have to comment on it. You do have a potential segregation of duties issue. Note 8 in the financial statements covers a couple of new accounting standards that you'll have to implement in the coming years, the next couple of years. There are 2 that I've highlighted here. I refer to this a lot of times as the Auditor Employment Act section of the presentation. This will keep everybody busy here. GASB 87 is on leases. This is presented on page 24, by the way, of the financial statements. There are 2 accounting standards. GASB 87 on leases. What we're doing here, what the GASB is doing, is taking any operating lease that you currently have. Right now, you're just expensing it. You're recording expenditure as you make the lease payments. What this will do is put a liability on the statement of deposition on the government-wide financial statements. You'll also record an intangible asset for the right to use any equipment or vehicles or what have you that you're leasing. So if you're leasing a copier, you're going to have the right to use that copier as an asset, and then the corresponding operating lease, what we call it now, would be an operating lease as a liability. GASB 87 is effective for your fiscal year that ends in 2022. GASB 96 is very similar to GASB 87. GASB 96 is on subscription-based information technology arrangements, which is just really a fancy way of saying software. So software leases, same concept. You'll have an asset with the right to use that software and liability for the corresponding debt. But we get another year to implement that. That's effective for your fiscal year 2023. I know everyone's disappointed that I went through that very quickly, but if you guys are going to answer any questions.
I have a question for you. Okay, it was on page 20. This was the draft that we got.
Yep.
So, on page 20, under the deposits and investments, we are exposed to credit risk because it's uninsured and uncollateralized. What should we be doing? We haven't adopted a policy about this, and
No.
what should we do, the village do?
So it depends on how much banking and how many different banks you want to work with. You can get full coverage. How much every day you want to be running from bank to bank? That is the question. It is a cost-benefit question for the village to answer. You are insured for $250,000 for savings and $250,000 for demand checking, demand deposit at each bank. So if you wanted to get more coverage, you can work with more banks.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thanks.
Any comments?
Yeah, I feel very comfortable, don't you, Ryan? Very comfortable with this kind of numbers, right? That bad. These are good.
We definitely appreciate Aaron. We lean on him for lots of questions. So part of having a small staff means we are all kind of the experts in our field. So when we need outside help, Aaron is somebody that we call on pretty regularly, especially with ARP money and all these other things coming up. He is a fantastic resource for us. So we appreciate him.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Aaron.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Can I just make one comment though?
Yeah.
As far as the cash receipts and segregation of duties, will you be looking at that or internally?
Just keep in mind that is something, how many years have we worked with you? 7, right, is it?
Probably.
And that is our constant because of the number of people in our facility. There's not really anything you can do. They legally have to mention it. We legally have to visit it. We've
We
asked
do.
for suggestions many times, and there really isn't necessarily a better solution.
I mean,
Is that correct?
In the absence of lack of segregation of duties, you have to have, the additional review and approval process. So in a small office setting, that's really difficult to accomplish. With 3 people, you can do some things. If you want the silver bullet, one of you can come in and review.
Well, I'm just concerned, when I was on prior, we had an embezzlement issue, and that is because one person had all the control. So, and then I had since left, and I didn't know that we still were not until, this is my first time back with an audit. So, yeah, I guess it's something we can look at.
And one of the ways we have addressed that is ensuring that everything is in here monthly, that we have those checks and balances, and we are all reviewing that, and we all get a chance to have our eyes on it multiple times. And Beth has been very gracious in helping to have that transparency to where everybody has their eyes on it. Well, those that should have their hands on it.
Yeah.
Please.
We do, every job that we do, like whatever I do, Ryan signs off on it. We write checks, generates the checks, me and Ryan signs them. So we are all 3 looking at everybody's work. So
Okay, good.
even though we are all doing everything, we are all looking at each other's.
Great, because that wasn't happening, you know, when you came in, that wasn't happening before. No one was checking, there was no, you know,
Yeah.
checks and balances, so, okay, great.
It's one we talk about of, you never want to be the only eyes on a thing. And so all 3 of us check each other pretty well, but it's definitely one we'll continue to revisit on a regular basis, not just once a year, but it definitely helps to have the reminder. So.
Good question. Any others? Thank you very, very
Thanks,
much
Sarah.
again. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. We'll let you get back to Lansing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right, yeah. Fair.
Have a safe trip home.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and next up this evening, item 9B will be the appointment of the Planning Commission. As you know, we've had an open seat with Planning Commission, and we have put out a request to the community for those that were interested to step forward. We had 2 official applicants. We had a chance to review those applications in the office with Planning Commission as well. Planning Commission had a chance to interview at their last meeting. And I think it was an across-the-board unanimous consensus
It was.
that Planning Commission recommended the same that I say office recommended, that I recommend as well, and that is Pete Burkett. So I will pass that over to Melanie. Can you kind of give us a snapshot as to how Planning Commission feels this is a good fit for you?
Well, Pete has been involved, we used to be the sergeant, correct, sergeant? Okay.
Sergeant.
At our substation here, and he's been involved with BGYB, and I mean, you could say this much better than I think one of the things that the Planning Commission liked about Pete also is he's involved with real estate now. So he understands zoning ordinances and codes, and he's familiar with that, where he can come in and actually make sense of a zoning ordinance book immediately, and probably will be able to teach us a few things. So we were kind of excited about that. But overall, I just, you know, he knows everyone in town. He's a great fit personality-wise, which was important to all of us. And I hope that council feels the same way.
Thank you. And I'd also like to add, very similar, I think it's very hard to choose between 2 great candidates. And I think the thing that stood out with me with Pete was the diversity. You may have somebody who's been here a long time and somebody who hasn't been here a long time, but the diversity that Pete brings, it wasn't concentrated in one area, like you say. It was multiple involvements in multiple areas, which makes you an asset with connections, as you say, so many different avenues as you're looking at this. So not only are you a long-time community member, hey, that's great, but what have you done in the community? And, you know, what can you bring to Planning Commission as well? So I definitely am very supportive and look forward to it. So, council did not get a chance to ask any questions once they got a chance to look at your resume and your letter of intent. So if there was anything that they had before they voted, you're more than welcome to ask Pete anything right now before we start? Anything?
No, I would just say from my own personal experience with Pete, Pete would be an outstanding addition to the planning commission. And,
Agreed.
I appreciate you volunteering on that, Pete. Thank you.
He already started a dress code.
Oh, God.
I just looked over at him and Bob.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you didn't get the memo.
And I got a giggle.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that... They didn't get it. That's funny. I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Pete Burkett to the vacant position on the Planning Commission.
Support.
Wow, they're fighting over him. So hold on a second. Hold on a second.
To appoint or to accept the appointment? Or approve the appointment? Because isn't it the...
Well,
Time
let's
appoint.
have that, hold on a second. A motion was made by trustee Green, supported by trustee George. Now, questions or comments?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I believe, technically, isn't it proper that the president appoints
Yes.
and we approve the appointment?
That's okay.
Right, so you can accept the appointment, approve the appointment, however you'd like to.
So
to
moved.
have it. What would you like to do?
So you want to modify your...
Would you like to accept the appointment, approve the appointment? What would you like to
Accept the appointment.
I just want to make sure we have everything proper.
do? Good point. All right, any other questions or comments at this time before we vote?
Well, I don't know Pete that well, but I saw on his resume that you work closely with Jane, and I know Jane is just a champion for our community and has been really involved, so anybody who is working with her, I have great confidence.
Ryan approved this.
I was thinking the same thing.
I don't know, it's even.
Yeah, I don't know.
Thank you for that.
Good point, and we know he does have that support at home as well. All right, any other questions or comments? Are we ready for a vote? Jenna, please.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Nyla,
Yes.
Bryce.
Yes. And that motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much and
Congrats.
congratulations. We look forward to hearing more from you.
Absolutely.
You came in at a great time with great projects.
Welcome.
My
Oh,
best for you guys. I really look forward to working back in the community. Thanks for Bob.
I'm sure Bob will contact you in 5 minutes and have you working.
I forgot to,
Running around.
yeah, I forgot to say it is Pete's birthday, and that's why.
Oh, happy birthday, Pete.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Enjoy your evening.
Okay, go have fun.
Yeah, I'm doing my cake.
Your cake, okay.
Well, that's dedication right there. Well, thank you very much. I know Planning Commission appreciates the support. All right, item 10 on our agenda is the approval of our consent agenda. This evening's consent agenda is a very busy September. We have the Planning Commission meeting from June 1st, the Planning Commission meeting from July 6th, the minutes of the Brandon Township Board meeting from July 12th, the Planning Commission meeting from August 3rd, the Downtown Development Authority meeting from August 16th, the Information Technology Committee meeting from August 17th, the Personnel Committee meeting from September 8th, the Wayfinding Subcommittee meeting from September 13th, the Personnel Committee meeting from September 14th, the Parks and Recreation Committee Beautification Award meeting from September 16th, the Redevelopment Ready Committee meeting from September 16th, the Special Events Permit of the Brandon High School Homecoming Parade, which will be October 8th, the Special Events Permit for the 4th Annual Witches Night, which will be October 9th, and last but not least, the attorney invoice of August 2021. These items have all been included in our packet for your perusal and are part of our consent agenda this evening.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
We have a motion on the table by trustee Green and supported by trustee Randazzo. Any questions or comments at this time? All right, Jenna, please.
George,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Nyla,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
Bryce.
Yes. And that motion carries 6-0. Item number 11 will be the items from trustees, and we will start this evening at the beginning of the alphabet, please, which is Mr. Pepperidge.
Yeah, this would be on senior citizens, Historical Society. A couple items with them. They very much had a very good turnout this past Saturday at the September Fest. That was the official grand opening of the blacksmith shop, and that was well attended, as well as the museum itself. We had a lot of visitors coming in, so Judy's very happy with that. And that's a positive note. One thing Judy did mention to me was, I had mentioned to her about the fact that we have 30,000 plus whatever dollars for painting. She said, please, could we see some kind of paint done before the first snowflake flies. I said I would mention it to the council. So I know that's technically Bob's area and that, and certainly I can get with him. I know you can, Ryan, and I'll let it go at that. I think those are the big things. So yeah, if they could get some paint on something, they would appreciate it. So we had that, and that's pretty much it. Two main items. Thanks.
Wonderful, thank you very much. And Larry, please.
What about Kay?
Okay. That's okay. I was thinking H.
Okay.
Wonderful, good catch.
Thank you.
Kay, please.
I just had a couple of things, and they're in your packet, the notes from the Village of Ortonville. And actually, excuse me, I don't know if we're changing it, but we're cleaning it up. It's the beautification awards for everybody. If you read that, the signs were given out. We couldn't reach the residents in time to do it for September Fest right. I mean, we could have hurriedly done it and just announced their names, but we want this to be kind of rolled out to the community so they understand, you know, that anybody has an opportunity to be chosen. And like I said, we do have 3 signs. I think we're going to spiff those up a little bit too, but we will award up to 3 in any given month. We're going to do it from June through December. And the 3 recipients, I understand, that got it were pleasantly surprised, and they were thrilled, is what I heard. So it's obviously doing what we wanted it to do, and now we just need to get some things in the paper and get it out there for everybody who reads the Citizen to see what it is we're doing. That's on that. And then as far as the pickleball courts, I understand that Fred is going to a meeting sometime this week, I think it is, or whenever the next Lions Club meeting is. He's going to attend that. So stay tuned, still more to hear on that, but hopefully we're going to keep moving this forward. What it's going to look like in the end, I don't know, but right now we're shooting for 2, so more to come. Thank you.
Kay, can I ask you, so are you going to, for the people that got the awards, are they going to come here for, like, before meeting?
Yes,
kind of thing, or what?
Because we didn't do it at September Fest, what we would like to do is have the 3 come, like maybe our next meeting, before the meeting, like at 6:30, and just meet them and you know, and have some little hors d'oeuvres of some kind, and that we'll pick up or whatever, and just kind of, you know, start it off right. And then once a year, even though we're doing the 6 months, once a year, probably at September Fest, that's kind of what we talked about, we will announce the beautification award for the year out of the
Grand prize winner.
prize, yeah, out of those
that's
that
cool.
won throughout the year.
I like that idea, that's cool.
Thank you for reminding me of it.
Yeah. Thanks, Kay.
Yeah,
That's good.
I like the positivity.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I'm across the street from one of the recipients. Yeah, they were busy again today. I'm thinking, man, calm down.
Just a comment that I heard at September Fest, which was really cool. The car that we chose, the 39 Packard, which was beautiful. You have to stop in if you didn't see it. We have it on the wall, or it will be. They won a couple other awards, but they loved ours because it had the picture on it, and we were the only one that had a picture on it. So that was another positive. And one of the second car that we chose, I'm not sure where the Packard people were from, but I know that the car from 1950 and above was an Ortonville resident. So that worked out real well too. And as it happened, when we went down to look at the cars at 9 in the morning, it was pouring down rain, and we decided we better wait. But the irony of it is, the 2 cars that we picked were there at 9 o'clock. So it just happened that way. And anyway, so we were really, we were happy, they were happy, and I think everybody had a really good time.
Wonderful. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
All right. Now we can move on to Larry. We'll try him.
Well, IT committee did not meet last month since our last meeting. However, I heard an update from Ryan that they are going to be scheduling to come out and get the router and everything set up. So he's coordinating with Bob to work out getting the wiring over to this building here so that we can get that done. What was the date on that?
October 20th.
October 20th.
Yeah.
So I'm really thrilled that we have that progress to move forward and finally get internet in this building, because we really need it now that meetings are over here. So that'll be a big help. And it'll also give more possibilities for renting out the space too for people for events and things.
Absolutely. It'll be just in time for our meeting.
Can I piggyback, Larry? The SEMCOG General Assembly, do you want to mention that? Larry and I will be attending the SEMCOG General Assembly October, I want to say 14th. We're the 2 representatives for the village, and we'll both be in attendance.
We'll sign up with that already too. Yeah, thank you for
That worth mentioning. Yeah.
It's been really busy.
You're good.
Yeah, other than that, personnel, I will defer to Tony because I was only the first of the 2 meetings, so he is going to have more up-to-date information. And there's also an agenda item for that too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Next up then, please, we have Melanie.
Wayfinding, we will discuss further down the agenda. Heritage Garden, Ron he is collecting information and has developed an aerial where he's planning some type of a base sheet to develop some ideas. He should have something to us in October is what his goal is. So he is working on it, and I'm just very happy about that since he is the one-man show over there. So hopefully October I'll have something to report. And then Planning Commission was, of course, us. We interviewed the 2 candidates, and you saw Pete this evening. And pardon me.
Ordinance.
Oh, and the park regulation we did change. Do we have that?
It's on our agenda, a new business.
Yeah. So, and we'll talk about that. The park regulation we changed further down. Yep. That's it.
Perfect.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank you very much. And next up, Tony, please.
Yes, the the Personnel Committee met twice in September, September 8th and September 14th, and we'll be discussing that a little bit later. So, that's all we got right now.
Thanks.
All right.
Can I add one?
Sure.
For you? To speak to the Streets Committee, the person from SEMCOG, his name's Ed, will be coming to the village on Wednesday, on the 29th, to grade the streets with Bob. He's got the GPS and all kinds of fancy equipment to tell us what condition all of our roads are in. So it requires 2 people that are PACER certified, Bob being one, him being the other. So we will have a good prioritization of which roads need attention first and which one, all that good stuff. So more to come, but that'll be happening on Wednesday morning.
Very nice.
So they actually do like a sheet with, these roads, a priority list for us. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
which ones
fun.
are in the worst condition and best condition and things like that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay.
Yes.
And this will supersede our current list. We do have.
We do have a list. The last time we did it was a few years ago. So to get an updated one will be extremely helpful,
See how it
especially as we're
looks.
looking at capital improvements and all that good stuff. Yeah.
That'd be great.
It will be interesting to see how it compares. All right, thank you for that update as well. DDA met on the 20th. We continue to be very busy in the community, not only supporting the businesses as always, and recommending training resources, et cetera, for them, and scholarships, grants that are available. They have also worked very hard on the food trucks, parts of September Fest, though that is a township-run event. They do have their hands in there, some of that as well. So it's been very busy. They appreciate all of the assistance. I know many of you have had your hands in helping out as well, so thank you on that. I think that's it. Am I missing anything, Matt? Anything I'm missing? Besides, obviously, everything's in the minutes, but I just trying to highlight a couple things we didn't
Any RRC
cross
updates?
over. RRC, we can update that as well. We met on the 16th, and we continue to plug away on that. Everybody has their projects, and love the checks and balances of support that everybody brings from each of the committees. It's wonderful working with planning and DDA and
We'll
our
need-
wonderful office staff on that.
Yeah,
So,
we're gonna need some council input on some RRC things in the near future, so stay tuned.
Yes, super exciting. Matt's working hard on that. So, and again, those minutes are included there as well. Please remember, as you hear all of our input and updates on what's going on, please send any thoughts or ideas that you have to those committees too. They love to always have input. Are we good? Do we have covered everything so far with the committees and the subcommittees? All right. Everybody worked amazingly hard. We will now move on to item 12, which is our unfinished business. And the only item on this evening is the village manager 90-day review results. Again, that is in your packet. You've had a chance to review that. I will pass that over to Personnel Committee, and we can start with Tony on that information, please.
Okay, so September 8th, personnel met, and we compiled all the scores, and we also had Ryan's scores in there as well. They were very close. What Ryan rated himself and what everyone else rated him were very close, and you can see that in our packet. We did notice during the counting, if you will, or tabulation, that there were some issues with that sheet that we used, and we're working to get that fixed. One of them, well, there's two things that kind of stuck out. People would either mark a section with a 3, meaning middle of the road, or mark a 1. But then it would give an example or a reason why they scored that way, and it pretty much got down to they did not know if he had done that job or not. And it should have just been basically, don't answer it, leave it blank. But what we're looking to do is make another box with simply something like NA for not applicable, where a person can do their due diligence and they know that they didn't miss a question. They can just mark it right there. And when we tally those numbers again, that number doesn't even get counted. It's just, you seen it, great, you acknowledged it. And that, that could have either brought a score up or brought a score down. That was I guess one of the big issues. We read comments, and well, I do want to say, from my perspective, when we spoke to Ryan on the 14th, he came across to me as he was very happy that his numbers were the same and that, you know, he didn't boost himself up higher than what we thought. And it, like I said, they were very comparable. He has done so far a great job with outside of the village council, you know, because those papers went to the township, you know, to the main people at the township, fire department, sheriff's department, and things of that nature. And they had nothing but great comments to say. And also the planning commission, and I think the DDA was involved in that, right? DDA. So again, all positive reviews, which, you know, that's great to hear, because obviously I was on the committee that wanted to have Brian in here, so it's nice to know that everything's working out so far. Now the other thing on the comments, some responded, and this is, again, these are some issues that we've seen. Some of the comments that were made, I guess you could say were contradictive to their scoring, or vice versa, where Ryan would get a high score, but then in the comment section, it really had nothing to do with the manager's position on a whole. So it was really, lack of better terms, I'm sorry, it didn't make a lot of sense. It looked, to me, it looked like, this looked like a good spot to put something. But, you know, those, even though those were negative comments and they weren't directly with Ryan, sadly, they're gonna be part of this permanent record because it's on there. And all those comments are also in our packet. But again, for me, it was I thought it was a great evaluation. Ryan, again, was very enthused, and I found out that he was the one that also wanted to get the input from outside sources. I was kind of against that, but hey, if that's what he wanted, great, you know, that was awesome. So I guess I'd like to make a motion on something for Ryan, because we did talk about this as well. So we discussed two different options, if you will. And I'd like to read those options real quick. First option, village manager with the approval of village council to receive a 1.5% raise now, with another village council only review in February of 2022 for a possible raise of up to another 1.5%. And then beginning yearly, we would just do the normal, you know, evaluations in June for startup in July. The other proposal, if you will, is that he receives a 3% raise now, and we forego the February 22 evaluation, but then he would be up for his evaluation again in June, just like all the other employees. So I'm a little bit confused on how to make this motion. So should I just
Try it, your motion.
All right. I'm going to go with, I'd like to make a motion to have the village council approve a 1.5 raise now, with another evaluation in February performed just by village council and staff.
I'll support that motion.
All right, we have a motion on the table by trustee Rendazzo, supported by trustee Green. And now, do we have any questions or comments on this motion?
Was the other piece, Tony, was it a 3% upfront now and forego
Yeah,
February?
it would be a 3% now.
I personally, I don't know if I would personally, would not feel necessary to do a February review on Ryan at this point in time. I'd give him 3% upfront.
Yeah, when we were in personnel, we discussed two possible options.
Right.
We feel that the other staff got 3%. We feel Ryan's been doing a really terrific job
Yes.
so far. So we were looking at either we give him a 3% raise like the rest of the staff got up front, and then he gets back in sync with the annual reviews next year, or we do 1.5% now and 1.5% another 6 months. That's what Tony is approaching.
Right, I know that's what the motion is.
And the reason why that one is in there is Brian started in May. He missed the annual review because he couldn't get it. He was under a 90-day review. He's gotten us through the summer, I'll say, and the rest of this year. I would like to see how things go from the beginning of the year until July, or I'm sorry, June. I don't have I think he'll do an amazing job.
So are you saying no February review?
No. I'm saying I'd like to see what happens when it gets, winter
In
time.
February.
And see-
Okay, and
Yeah.
your
see what
motion,
happened.
February.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So then we can do another review in February. So we're only talking a few months. And I did the calculations. He gets roughly about $13 more if we do it in February. So just by the numbers. But I think that would be, that's just my opinion. So-
I like the 1.5 and the review in February. Since Ryan did just start, and also remember when he started, it was a 5-day, and now it's 4-day. However, you are working on the 5th day, doing stuff, just not physically here sometimes, right? Yeah.
It was 7 days this week, right?
Yeah, probably.
Sure.
Yeah, well, Septemberfest and everything, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I like the 1.5 and the review again in February, only because there will be different dynamics
I
of,
think that's what I was trying to.
that will happen. I mean, the snow plowing and we'll have our ARP money then, and there will just be a couple different things that are new.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Personally, I feel that we kind of brought him in on the low end of the scale. We had a range picked out, and we actually brought him in at the very bottom end of our range scale. And I feel that he's already proven that he is worth more than what our previous manager was. And I feel that I would be very comfortable with giving the 3% right now, just to let him know that we appreciate him, all he's doing.
Well, whichever one we give him, I hope he knows we appreciate him. I really
Well, I think our
don't.
scores show that.
I don't want you to think we don't appreciate you if we go with the first
I think he
motion.
knows we all appreciate it.
Because we did give them the salary range that Keith had, or that we had. Keith, made the motion for the high end of the salary range.
Yep.
So
All
we
right,
did
so
start
hold
off.
on a minute. I just don't want to, we're all bumping around. Let Larry finish if you don't mind, and then please
I would
respond.
be perfectly okay with giving him the 3% now, skip the February and then get it in sync with the regular annual reviews.
And then Melanie, if you don't mind, go ahead and continue your thought. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh,
I
no,
just
no,
wanted
that's
to
okay.
continue your finish.
No, just that we did bring him in at the higher salary range number when the range was given.
Keith made the motion at the highest.
Yes, he did,
And
yes.
then after a lot of debate, which Ryan had to sit through, unfortunately.
Yes. Yes.
In the end, the motion was made at the bottom.
Okay.
No, it
He was
was
hired
not.
at 16, our range was 62. What was that?
50 to 65.
65, 55 to 65.
50 to 65.
We're all like, I don't remember.
65 to 70, something like that.
No, I don't know. Do you remember the range?
We
I
are
do not
grabbing the
remember.
edge to verify the
Yeah.
correct information.
50 to
I think it was 50 to
Because
65.
there was so much
I thought it
discussion.
was something
Yeah.
like 50 to 65.
That's what I remember.
But even at that, so Larry, in general, you're, whether it was within $5,000,
Right.
point
I
being.
feel that Ryan has been doing so much more than our previous village manager, and village managers
Agreed.
for many years have been right at that same level. I think that he, he's well worth a 3% raise.
But either way, he would be getting the 3%.
He'd get it. It's just in a different
Just a
time.
different way of doing that.
And my thoughts is, we were discussing that, I think they both said it outwardly. Tony was a little more comfortable with the let's revisit in 6 months and let's continue to, see progress, which we all know we will. Larry was very intent on this is, what he's done so far. We really want to appreciate that. I kind of flipped it. I was stuck and I wasn't quite sure. That's why we wanted to offer both. In seeing Ryan's input, he's not comfortable and he doesn't agree with us at all. But we are going around his wishes. So I think keeping that in mind, I think for me personally, I think that's why I decided the 1.5 and 1.5, because Ryan feels uncomfortable receiving anything, and we definitely would like to recognize that. I personally feel he's been in tune with our expectations. He's exceeded them with us time and time again in each area, as all of our scores show. And like I said, I think it's important that he was able to share with us his thoughts and feedback from the compiled. And I love that. I think our expectations in his coming in were pretty good, and I think how we feel he's doing and how he feels he's doing is pretty good, and I think that makes all of us comfortable that I feel we're communicating what our needs are, and he's communicating back where they're at. So I'm very happy with all of the results, and I think it shows, like I said, for both ends.
He just hasn't had the opportunity to show how he can shine in a number of areas yet, because we just haven't come across it. We haven't done it yet.
No.
But the areas he has done, he has exceeded our expectations.
No pressure.
So we do have a motion on the table, and I know we've all been focusing on it, but is there any other questions or comments with that motion specifically?
Just that motion? No. Okay.
And I know Jenna's
Yeah.
still gathering that piece of information for us as well.
We're still discussing it, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I'd like to discuss, or not.
But is regarding motion?
No, well,
the
sticking to the 1.5% is our focus right now.
Yeah.
If you want to vote yes or no, but just keep in mind, that's our current motion. Right.
Two questions. Effective date and just effective today, you pick at day 91, whatever, we just need to clarify.
Absolutely.
The other is 6-month review from now or 6 months from when I started. Those are two different times. One's December,
Yeah.
one's
Or
February.
February 17th?
That's a 9-month review, not a 6 month. Or is it just
Well, it'd be 6
from
months.
today to 6 months?
Because this rate here, if I recall, we were not looking at a raise. There was nothing, it was just a performance eval. That was what my understanding was. But once we seen the numbers, it was, we need to do something. We can't just, hey, you're doing a great job. That'd be kind of crappy. That was my understanding. But I also believe somewhere in our notes, it does say that it would be retroactive to.
We just need the motion to
We
reflect.
would need the motion to.
Retroactive
So it's gotta say
completion of
retroactive.
first 90 days is what the recommendation was.
I make a motion to amend the original motion to state that the increase would be retroactive to start immediately after his 90 day, day 91.
Yes,
Can get it.
Are you
I support it.
good with that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And,
Hold on a second.
yeah, Ryan, just so you know what we were talking about, is that's why we, in the minutes, put February explicitly in there to make it clear that this is 6 months after the 90 day. That's where it comes to February, because your 90 day came up in August, so that would be February would be 6 months after that.
And I think,
It would
and
be
Ryan, that was a good
August
question, because
16th.
those were the discussions in the minutes, but not brought up at the motion, so thank you for clarifying.
That would be August 16th.
16th, okay. That's up.
And we're gonna jump you ahead to your
So-
next eval after February, if this passes, would be June. So you won't be doing the August thing next year.
It'll be on cycle.
Yeah.
But they're,
Yeah.
and do we have we will have policies and procedures on that, right? That are,
And this really
I hope
is
so.
just
Evaluation,
specifically
yeah.
to Ryan because of the timing that he's brought in. So,
If I could just throw one thing out, and it's not to, I was gonna mention it tonight and I didn't earlier. I had checked on a couple of places. Kalamazoo has 2,136 people, and their village manager is paid $55,000. Just so you know, you keep saying we're way out of line. I don't think we're way out of line, but that, it's just info. It's not really to sway you one way or another tonight.
Is it part-time, full-time,
Full-time,
benefits?
with benefits.
That's, I mean,
Yep.
obviously a big difference.
Yep.
Just as a clarification, it was advertised for 50 to 65,000, 40 hours a week.
Right.
So that's where we're at.
yeah.
Just to clarify that info.
For 45 hours a
Thank
week?
you.
Is that-
40 hours a week, 50 to 65,000.
Yep.
That was the initial post, approved post.
I guess I misspoke when I said I thought it was running for the one, so.
Wow. Wasn't at the high either.
Okay.
All right.
I would like another comment.
Go right ahead, please.
My impression from the very beginning continues to be that Ryan is outstanding. My question to the council is how good are we going to feel if he jumps ship? You've been around a lot longer than I have now as far as managers coming through, but if we lost Ryan, if I'm in Ryan's shoes, how much appreciation do I want to feel versus feeling like I'm on a string for 1.5% type thing? I think it's up to us as a council is to personally to support him in a way that we not only value him, but we value him and show it in a monetary way and not a way that he's got to grovel and whatever to get money. I don't want to lose him. If we lost him, I'd be crushed. We
would all be
previous
crushed.
Managers aren't even close. He outworks both of them by buying both of those. I'm saying on it, Kate.
I know.
And I want, when you get somebody with this quality, my personal feeling is I want to hang on to them, and I want them to make sure we appreciate them, not only by stating it, but also by showing it. Show me the money. And it's good. If I was Ryan, I'm telling you, you get 6 months in or whatever, and he puts on his resume just what he's accomplished here, he could go. He could go.
Well,
That's my concern.
Yeah, but that's bound to happen.
And then Melanie, where are we?
Right, but that's bound to
Back to getting
happen.
old timers that, looking at this as a part-time job and do about 1/10 of what he does.
But I don't think Ryan specifically was looking for or asking
I hope
for a
not.
raise. I think he
No, I
feels
thought you
awkward
said
about it.
that.
No, I mean,
Well, he
I
hasn't
don't
talked
think-
about that either.
Right. I don't think he was looking for a raise at this review, is the impression I received.
Okay.
But it's gonna be a bumper one day, but he will leave one day.
I'd like to get some years
about
out
to.
of him. Well, I'd like to get sewers out of the way
Well,
before
in
he
25
leaves.
years, he can
jeez.
leave. It's okay.
You'd be retiring here.
Because otherwise, it's not going to happen. It's not
Don't
going to
pressure.
happen.
All right,
I
I don't disagree.
I'd like
Yeah.
to say one more thing or two.
No pressure.
It may not seem like a lot, but he will actually, in February, after we do a review and we've actually seen how he worked with the winter and all that, he'd actually get a 1.5 on top of what he's making right now, which again comes out to like $14 or $15 additional. No,
And
no,
then-
no, because what I'm saying is whatever he's getting now, it's not whatever he gets now before an increase, okay, that's what he's gonna get. If he does a 1.5, or if we have a 1.5 now, and he hits a 1.5 1.5 in February, he's actually going to make more money because it's going to be based off what his salary is at that point.
And then in June, he will be up for another raise.
It'll be about another $15. So then,
1.5% is 1.5% more.
But if I'm understanding correctly, in June, right after February, he
Yes.
will be up for another raise, so.
Yes.
Correct.
Possible, right.
So
Correct.
It's working
So
out
that's
for all
in
those
1
6
year
months.
of employment, 3 raises.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's appreciative.
And I think I piggyback with Pat with the concern. We've had some very good managers and we've had some not so good managers. And every one of our good managers that I know since the 1990s have left unvalued and underpaid. Not one single one of them have left feeling like they were paid for the work that they put in. And I think we have to recognize that in what we're paying now compared to what we paid in 2005 and 10 and is nothing more, and it's sad and embarrassing for us how we can budget that and what we can do with that. That's our job, and I know we're all intent on that, but I think, it's not Ryan's fault that we haven't proceeded and progressed from that point. So I'd love to see, him be a part of us really being diligent and doing better and recognizing.
And what I
the
would
work.
love to see, really, because this is very uncomfortable for Ryan, is that the Personnel Committee come up with a step increase for all employees. So all we have to do is just yes or no, are we going to give them their step increase? Not how much, not anything. We need to just make it very clear what it is in the package. We're going to review it 3 months, 6 months, whatever we do, however you set it up, and then it just comes to council for an approval or not. Discussing wages is just, it's terrible.
It is.
I really don't like this.
Me either.
So I hope, please, I'd be happy to help with it. If anybody wants my help or input, I'd be happy to do that. Otherwise, I think we can vote.
I would like to just add, if I can, one more comment from my side. I do think Brian's doing a great job. I do agree with Pat's concerns about, I don't want to see us lose a really talented village manager. However, I know that anybody who's looking for a career path eventually is going to probably want to move on from our tiny little community. Hopefully, when it comes down the road, whether it's February or at June time when we are doing reviews, if we really want to retain Ryan, he's doing a stellar job, we should have opportunities then to try to make some adjustments in terms of raises or increase to try to incentivize him to stay with us a little longer than he may otherwise. So if we say, hey, he's doing such a good job and look at the money we're saving because the grants he's finding, stuff like that, that can give us more flexibility to work with salary for the village manager. If the village manager
What?
bring in
True.
that value for us.
I mean, I think one of the perks is that they don't work on Fridays. I know you had to, this week it was
So I
totally
guess
different.
what I'm really trying to say is that
That's-
if Ryan continues to do a good job of this and finds opportunities and ways to bring money in the village or save us money in ways and stuff like that, that gives us more flexibility in the budget to look
Right.
at compensating in terms of salary and stuff like that. So,
And I just quickly want to throw in, I don't want to speak for Ryan, but we all know he works nights and weekends, and not sitting in an office on Friday does not mean he's already working. I know he works more than 40 hours every single week. Has there been a week you've worked 40 hours since you started?
Oh, gosh, probably not.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but we
No,
have to
we almost work
recognize,
40 hours.
it doesn't matter what seat you're sitting in when you're working 24/7.
This
We
was
need to
probably
recognize
easier
you
on
for
Zoom,
it.
wasn't it?
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, and I think we all realize that.
We value Ryan, don't think we don't.
All of us do.
That's
so
what I
don't
said from the
think
get-go. It
there's
doesn't
any
matter
issue
how
there.
we vote right now. We value him.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, Jenna, will you read to us the amended motion? So we all know,
Yes.
and we'll see if we're
What I
ready.
had was to have the village council approve a 1.5% raise increase retroactive to start after his 90th day, with another evaluation in February performed by the village council and
Is February 16th okay, or do we want to just say February because it is the 16th? Do we need that documented?
What, I thought it was the 9th. What was the 9th then?
I think February, because we would need to send out the survey, personnel would have to review the results, and then it would be up at our February council meeting.
Okay.
So that would go out
So we're
actually
good.
at the end
Right.
of January.
Yeah, but it would be a February review, basically.
Right.
Yeah, yes. And most likely,
But I don't think we can set a specific date because it's a process.
Well, that would be
well,
the
it would
review
be, it
date.
would be by our February
Okay.
council meeting, whatever
Yes,
date that would
exactly.
be.
We
So-
would schedule it so we would have all the, everything
Yes.
done, so it could be voted.
I was just asking if we wanted to verify the date of the next review date in the minute, or the motion. That's okay if you don't. Is anybody have any more questions at all before we vote? Are we comfortable in voting? All right, Jenna, please.
Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Nigel,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George,
No.
Bryce,
Yes. And that motion carries 5-1. Thank you very much.
And my no is based on the fact that I think it should be higher. I know that's gonna come out bad. I don't agree with the 105, but he's working on that.
No, it was understandable, your
That's what
comments,
I said.
absolutely.
That's why
Sort
I
of
said
put you in the right
I prefer to bring the 3% back, so that's why.
All right, so thank you, everybody, for the input. We appreciate the time that you spent on your evaluations. Thank you very much, Ryan, for the additional input after we met with you at the meeting as well. Item 13 this evening is our new business, and our new item A is the wayfinding RFP. And I will send it over to Melanie, please.
I have chocolate in my mouth.
Can I go back?
Yes,
before you-
go for it.
Did we need to vote on the audit to accept it as presented or anything? We did not vote on it after. I don't know if that's a normal,
Sure.
that we do
think we
that.
do. I think
We
we
probably
should.
need
I
to
think we
accept
do.
it and
We
Yes.
can
get,
And I think
go
we
back
are supposed
to 9A. Let's hop in and do that,
Sorry,
please, if you
Jenna.
don't mind, Melanie.
No, that was,
Good catch.
Good.
We're going to hop back into 9A because Ryan caught us with the Village 2020-2021 audit presentation. And we are looking for a motion to accept.
Motion to accept
Audit?
the, what's it called now, geez. The audit findings for ending June 30th, 2021.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by trustee Green, supported by trustee George. Do we have any questions or comments on that? All right, Jenna, please.
Hayden,
Yes.
Nigel,
yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Bryce,
Yes. And that motion carries 6-0. Thank you for the
Thank you.
reminder, Ryan. Let's hop back over to 13A, which is the wayfinding RFP.
Okay, well, Ryan and I are gonna tag team here on this. Ryan had sent something out earlier, so all of you would have ample time to look through the proposal and what we were asking for this evening. So I guess what I do not know, were there any questions, Ryan, that you received, or?
I have not received any questions
Okay,
about this.
so did council understand what they received? And, I mean, I don't want to make this long and drawn out if everyone understood it and what we're asking for.
The only question I had when I was looking at it is, it seemed like that was not the least expensive
Correct.
quote, so I was just interested to know why they chose that particular one.
Yes, this was the middle bid, actually.
Yeah.
And we were quite surprised because the one that was here in Michigan was the highest bid. So, but, it's how they were doing travel costs and whatnot. The lower bid, they were more of a They weren't really more of the wayfinding. They were more placemaking. They were more of a downtown setup, just, what to do to attract people to your business downtown, and more event placemaking, where this is more wayfinding. They did not have the experience that we needed, unfortunately. Good company, just not right for this particular project.
Yeah, I will say I did look through all the Lakota Group's experience and what they've done in other communities and stuff, and it looks like they do a really nice job.
Yeah, this is their niche. And they worked a lot with, Lake Orion is a perfect example of a community that they have worked on, and I think have done a really nice job. So, I don't know, Brian, do you want to add something?
There's lots of information in your packet. I shared it about a week ago, so you have enough time to read through it. That's why we included the email as well.
I don't think there's any questions.
There are a couple other reasons why we want to act on this tonight. So we are interested in doing this. The response from the Lakota Group does come in under our budgeted amount, which is wonderful. There's also some technical assistance funding from the DDA, that we can activate towards this project as well. So I recommend that the Village Council make a motion to accept the wayfinding signage design project proposal from the Lakota Group for a total cost of $27,120.
I'd like to make a motion that council accepts wayfinding and signage design project proposal from Lakota Group for a total cost of $27,120.
Support.
We will give that to Pat George. I heard one little S first. All right, we have a motion.
It was Tony. It was
That was Tony?
Pat was quiet.
I was thinking about it.
I just heard that deep voice right before it came out.
that was
I know.
Tony.
Well, then we're just going to give it to Tony. That's how rumors get started. All right, so we have a motion on the table by Trustee Nivell, supported by Trustee Randazzo and everybody else on the left-hand side. Do we have any questions or comments at this time?
No, excited to see it move forward.
Are we ready for a vote? Jenna, please.
Nivell,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Rice.
Yes. Thank you very much. That motion carries 6-0.
Thank you so much. I am so excited. This is
It was
great.
easier to think about $2,000.
Yeah, it was.
Item 13B this evening will be Halloween 2021, and we'll start that off with Manager Maris.
All right, your packet contains information about Halloween 2021. I understand that Halloween 2020 looked a little different, as so many other things did in 2020. Getting back to the traditional way to celebrate Halloween in Ortonville calls for a bonfire at the DPW garage, as well as cider and donuts. Serving food is a little tricky right now. We've always done donuts at Beaky's, and their bakery is currently closed, so some things will need to change, but I am happy to be responsible for finding out how we can do donuts and cider in a way that is in alignment with the county and state guidelines for gatherings like that and serving food. So if we were to go back to this way of doing Halloween, trick-or-treating would take place from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on Sunday, October 31st in the village of Ortonville. I will work with the fire chief to sound the siren to start the signal and close of trick-or-treating, all the other fun things, in as much as possible in accordance with state and county guidelines. I'll go through the special permit process to make sure we check all the boxes, and it will require that the village council be on hand to help serve, make sure the fire's going, and all those good things. So it will take a village. I recommend Halloween in the village be announced and advertised in the manner presented in the packet.
And as I've said earlier, I don't get a lot of trick-or-treaters, so I will be more than happy to go down at 6, whatever time, as long as I have someone, whether it be Bob and his crew or not, if they could have the table set up, and then we can pour the cider and have that all lined up, hopefully, if that's the way, they'll let us do it, like we did before. Have it all ready for when people come, and then I think Bob and his guys do the bonfire.
Bob told me it's his favorite day of the year.
Okay.
He's very excited about it.
Okay, so, yeah, I'm more than happy to do that, and I know Bob and his helpers, workers would help. And
Workers
if
singular.
any of you don't get a lot of trick-or-treaters, but you all live in a place where you do, so I'd be, I will get it done. I will get it done.
Pat, if you can't be there, we can't do this.
Yeah.
No, I know, I was very proud of the village last year that despite all the restrictions and that, we had I think the town let us know too, they were gonna do it anyway. And they did, and not only that, we had a movie.
Yep.
Am I right?
Yep,
Tony?
we did.
For God's sake. So, yeah, we did real well last year with the restrictions, so I think it'll go off good this year too.
Is the office collecting candy or requesting that this year?
I detailed that in the packet, but I forgot to say it out loud, sorry. Yeah, so we, in the past, had collected candy and distributed to residents to make sure you've got enough for all your trick-or-treaters.
For the
And
2,000 or
we would be happy to
3,000.
do that if allowed by county and state guidelines.
Right.
Right.
Just a reminder, last year, that was frowned upon by the guidelines, and so the businesses took that over and continue to do that for our residents, so we appreciate that.
Why
So
was
we have to
I'm
make
just curious, did they frown on that?
Encouraging a
because
gathering.
we
Oh, the
did not
gathering.
hold
I'm sorry, I thought you meant getting of the candy.
Right, we didn't hold Halloween, and that was not a sanctioned event, so we wouldn't collect the candy to
Gotcha.
promote something we
Okay.
weren't holding, unfortunately.
All
So,
right.
right, we kind of had to
Okay.
compile everything in one packet.
Do
so
we
no.
need a motion, or just can we allow
Motion.
the village manager to carry on with what he needs to do for this event?
I think the motion is appropriate, so I will make a motion that we hold Halloween according to the recommendations of the village manager and allow Ryan to coordinate event in terms of village setting.
Support.
Was that the whole motion? Did you get all that, Jenna?
Oh, were you?
That was a wordy motion.
Yes, in terms of the village aspects, bonfire and all that stuff. Obviously, the fire chief's gonna have to do the siren.
So we have a motion on the table by trustee Hayden, supported by trustee Randazzo. Question or comments?
Thank you.
And I'll start by answering Melanie's question. I personally think it's very important because if things do change, that will come from the office, and that gives the office a chance to say yes or no. We all know it can change on the 30th, unfortunately. So this is us already handling it before a meeting and not have to have a meeting. And I hate to be the naysayer, but in reality, we have to look at insurance and things like that. So
We
put
meet-
it on Ryan's big shoulders by having an actual motion, and know he can handle this.
I appreciate that. This group does meet the Monday before Halloween, so I might come back to you at that day and say, cases
Not-
arise, the
yes,
county says this, state
change.
says that.
Yep.
But again,
But in
there
the
are ways
meantime,
that we
happy
can
to
do it.
run
In the
with it.
meantime, we
Yes.
can,
I will say this, as I was on council last year when this situation came up, and I knew that the community was going to be having people out trick-or-treating, and there was going to be people in the community passing out candy. So we said, in order to ensure a safe event, knowing the community was going to do it anyways, let's close the streets like usual, but we decided to forego some of the things that didn't fit with the guidelines at the time, such as we didn't want to encourage things, so we didn't collect the candy, but the businesses picked up on that. And we didn't do the bonfire and.
We did the movie
We
instead.
did a movie. That was hard to get through.
Well, the movie night
Well,
was
6
not
feet
a
apart.
village event. That was,
No, it wasn't, but that was a kind of we knew something was gonna happen, so
Yeah.
we went ahead and
Yes.
a contingency plan, if you will.
and I think that was great they coordinated that. Like,
Yeah.
But, the movie was technically not a village event. Halloween was, and we said, for the safety of the kids and all, let's close the streets and do it like usual.
Yeah.
okay.
Any other questions or comments? Feedback?
Well, I do have a comment. Being that, I'm on the CERT team and I most likely will be at Ball and Cedar, I don't have any problem with shooting over to, DPW that night. But, and I've never actually been to the bonfire thing. But is there music and things like that going on?
Not
Not generally.
typically.
No?
No, and it's kind of a common flow. If you have younger children, you're usually there a little earlier. If you have older kids, you're out, until that siren goes off.
I think it would be nice if somebody donated their system, if it's not working, to play some spooky
Wonder who that
music.
could be.
Yeah, I wonder who would
Okay.
I don't know.
That
Oh,
person could
Joni.
maybe contact the village and see if they'd be interested in coordinating.
Just keep in mind, it is all ages.
It is.
So
Yes.
we need to, and it is a nice gathering event where everybody talks and kind of gathers in. And we obviously all necessarily have commitments in town. You can always send a representative, so, pick somebody else around
So,
you to go and help serve cider.
So,
We
yes,
do need more than one
I
person
will-
to serve the
I
cider.
will
Okay,
contact the
I'll head
offices
down to the
tomorrow.
house.
Okay, cool.
I will contact the offices tomorrow to see about donating that stuff.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Any other questions or comments before we vote? All right, Jenna, please.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Nigel,
Yes.
Rice.
Yes. And thank you. That motion carries 6-0, and we appreciate your kind of research, Ryan, and know that you'll continue to follow that for us. Item C this evening is the MDOT performance resolution for municipalities. We'll send that over to Manager Mattis, please.
So this one's pretty straightforward. We do have a trunk line in our jurisdiction. So M15 is the road in question. It's a form we get to fill out pretty regularly, but we need to adopt this resolution for municipalities from MDOT. I do ask that we add, if you're looking at the form on page 2 of 2, we would have put my name in there in title under number 8.
Mr. Lyons.
Under number
Is
what?
that the one I'm looking at?
What's that?
One of the things is was dated currently and addressed to former manager Lyons.
Oh, that was in the wayfinding one.
As opposed to
well,
you, yes.
oh well. Yeah. So I asked that we put myself and Bob under there. So village manager and DPW supervisor, and then we can fill out the rest with how we vote. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? I didn't explain it in a lot of
Where
detail,
are
but
you
it's pretty
putting that?
straightforward.
Where are you putting your name in?
On the
Yeah.
number 8 on the back,
At 8,
the very
thank
last
you.
page of the form, it says title and name.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Yep.
But
Okay.
myself and DPW supervisor Hawkswell.
Yep.
Following positions are authorized to apply to.
Yep.
All right.
So
Right,
looking,
this is done once a year.
I believe so, yeah.
I make a motion to adopt the performance resolution for municipalities and to list village manager and DPW supervisor under section 8 for title and name authorized to apply to the department.
Sport?
We have a motion by trustee Hayden, supported by trustee Green. Do we have any other questions or comments at all before we vote? All right, Jenna, please.
George,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Nigel,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
Rice.
Yes. That motion carries 6-0. Item D this evening is the park ordinance. I'll again send that over to Manager Mattis to begin.
I'll start, and I might defer to our planning commission chair as well, so I'm glad he's here and awake. In your packet, you will find a report from the planning commission. You may recall that in June of 2021, the village council chose to postpone any action on the preservation park ordinance until the planning commission was able to review and adopt a recommendation. At their September 7th meeting, the planning commission made they adopted a recommendation. So the proposed ordinance is there in your packet under ordinance 92.05. So today we are looking to adopt the ordinance as amended, correct?
Yes.
Is that the right wording?
Yeah.
Make a motion to adopt the planning commission park regulations 92.05 as amended.
Support.
Motion on the table by trustee Green and supported by trustee Nivell. Any questions or comments?
Just one question it states that existing proposed trail segments are to be evaluated based on ADA benefits, et cetera. Is this section here in general for all parks, or do we want to specify in wildland parks?
For the 9205,
Yeah, for the 9205.
it's for all parks.
Okay, so that would include even like ball fields and stuff like that? To me, it makes sense in the wildland parks. I'm not sure if it's applicable for every park.
Well, you mean the physical barrier part?
Yes, I mean like
Because the ADA is.
Crossman Park is like, I was just asking whether that was something.
I think it makes sense because we've had issues with the skate park with
Yeah.
neighbors.
Yes.
We want to make sure that the balls aren't going where they don't belong. I mean, I believe that it makes sense at any park, being conscious of where the residents are and their
Right.
privacy and safety. And,
Okay, that's good.
that's just my thought.
I agree.
I have a question about the entry number 2, David 2. The degree to which a forest vegetation and topography currently provides a visual barrier, physical barriers between the trail segment and adjacent private parcels. I'm against that wording because if you think about it, there is, and I haven't been in there, but if there's a section of trees right here and there's open area between here and another set of trees, to me this sounds like we can't get rid of those trees that are right there. Do you see what I'm saying? If you look at the left side and the right side of that park going down, and you have brush or whatever you want, vegetation, you have a natural barrier blocking the homes, okay? Then there's a gap, an opening, if you will, and then there's some more vegetation there. I guess this, to me, just seems like it's too restrictive, because I think we're already getting to the point that they're getting a barrier. So I'd like to understand this a little bit better on to what the reason is behind it.
Bob, is that something that you mind addressing for us?
If I understand the question correctly. The reason that wording, first of all, was added in there because the council and the planning commission was concerned because it was too restrictive of where the trail could go and how it could go in. So the wording came up to thinking that typically there's probably only one place in the park. And we did this because there's already been a review of the location of the trails. And there's only one location throughout the entire park where there's a short space where the trail might be visible from a resident. And again, the thought was there, if a resident was unhappy with that, they had alternatives, they had methods to question that because the ordinance says that there's to be a visual barrier. I'm not sure of any other way to establish a trail in there to help secure it for the residents that join it. And also make it so it is a trail in the woods. I guess I don't understand where the question or concern is with that.
If I understand the way it's worded, it doesn't say we can't put a trail where there isn't a physical barrier. It just means it's saying that we need to take that into consideration and evaluate based upon those considerations. So, I mean, if we found that that was the only viable place to connect those two segments together across an area where there maybe wasn't a visual across some section, we have to take that in case, but in that case, maybe we would say, okay, that's really the best place to put it.
Okay.
But then we could also consider some other things, like, well, maybe we would add some sort of bushes or something, you know, we could add some vegetation on our own plantings or something to, if we wanted to address that and work something out with that resident there if there was a concern about a particular area. I think that it gives us flexibility, and I think that in this case, it basically is ensuring that we will be working with the residents who have those adjacent properties to come up with something that's acceptable to the village and to the residents. I'm hoping that that's what we would work out of this type of ordinance.
And that is the whole idea, was the respect of the
I think
residents.
that's what actually, it's like,
Yeah,
we want to respect the adjacent neighbors and address their concerns as much as we can, but at the same time, it's still village property, and we still have to consider that this is there for the benefit of all the residents, but while still trying to respect the residents that have adjoining properties too. So.
And I know it was the intent of Planning Commission, we can't pigeonhole a specific property. This is meant for all parks. This is
Yes,
meant for
right.
any areas. So we have other places we can develop trails, and what will that look like? And so something to be sure that the wording is loose enough,
Yes.
but interpretive enough to be used in multiple places, not just one specific area.
yeah, and looking at Narren, and, you know, it's not, I know everyone always thinks about up there. Well, it's really not about that area.
Right.
At all. So no matter where the trails go in, we would work with the residents and just compromise, and just so they know that they were heard. And if we can put in some type of barrier, and Bob, as you know, DPW, I mean, he helps cultivate trees and other things down at the park. So, I mean, and we can do more of that if we need to move things.
I just have,
We waited, because we held off on the ordinance for at least a month, waiting for the committee to evaluate the routes, the potential routes for the trails, to see what kind of issues we may have or won't have, and how we could accommodate for it. And they spent a lot of time. They had a representative from Oakland County come out, and they spent a lot of time trying to ensure that ADA as close as they could get it. And they discovered that there was one spot where it might be visible from, I believe, just one house. And again, our discussion turned around to Bob's tree farm. You know, if we need to plant a few small pines and let that develop, we felt that was fine. And besides that, the ordinance provides, you know, if a homeowner's unhappy with it, they'll be at the planning commission or probably not the planning commission.
We'll be here.
Right.
But I'm sure it'll pop back to us, so the reasoning, but that's how it come about. Because we could not find any way to protect the property owners and provide a good wildland trail that encompassed the areas that our master forest guy found it and was really wanting to have developed.
And I know you had a chance to evaluate many different county, state, local trail systems and exactly how they word things, and I know you brought that in, and like I said, I know your committee.
It's 100 times less restrictive for visual to the outlying residents as compared to other parks. We hunted, there are several ordinances out there, but very few of them dealt with a wildland one that was surrounded by residential. And they protect most of them by fencing the whole thing in, and that's an alternative.
Yeah.
But that's not what anybody wants.
Right.
Expensive.
I just have one question, and I think I understood you right. So right now, Planning Commission has, I want to use this word loosely, 2 proposals or drawings of what it might look like. Are those things able to be viewed by the public right now? Or council? Just to give an idea of what we're looking at.
Just keep in mind the agenda item is the ordinance for all parks.
Oh, okay.
And I want to stay on focus that this is a broad range
Right.
ordinance review that we're considering.
There is an issue because it's not in our master plan today. We're operating off an ordinance that doesn't allow us to be moved up there.
Right.
And until a couple of these things actually happen, that will absolutely be part of the public, it has to be part of the public review. But it hasn't been entered into our minutes yet, I don't believe.
It does not.
What is proposed. But obviously, anybody that wanted to see it could, but we need to get this ordinance so that we can make the next step to get that master plan completed.
Yes.
And that's very, very close right now.
And the work that everybody's put in, as you see, Jenna, I love your synopsis. It's wonderful. I can't use that word because this is 3 pages, 4 pages. But we
Yeah, that
appreciate
was
All
nice.
the credit to
the back
that
and
goes
forth.
to Jenna.
That's what I said.
Yes.
I appreciate it. And so that combined everything, our request and their response, and our request and their response, and it's wonderful to put that all in one piece. We
Yes,
appreciate it.
that was awesome. Thank you.
I would like to express my thanks and appreciation for you, Bob, and all the rest of the planning commission as well for putting so much effort into this. I think that this is a very good wording here, considering what we started from, because the flat-out distance space just doesn't make sense with the curriculum. And this is much more appropriate, I think, to that the one part that was the issue. And I think it's appropriate as time mentioned all of them. So I think this is a really good way to address it and recognize the residents' concerns and still give the village flexibility to develop park properties, but that is a law.
Yeah, we thought it was a good compromise for all.
Any other questions or comments at this time? Are we ready for a vote? Jenna, please.
Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Nivell,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Rice.
Yes. Thank you very much. That motion carries 6-0, and please let them know we are very thankful for all of your diligence. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Nice work.
Congratulations also on your Citizen of the Year award. Very quietly back there. That's quite a deserved honor. Quite a deserved honor.
All right, item E is Christmas in the Village 2021, and we will send that over to Manager Manis to start us off, please.
Okay, we went right from Halloween to Christmas.
There you go.
So it's time to start thinking about it. Christmas in the Village is a big one for us, for all of our related entities as well. So changes are beneficial to some of the traditional elements for the first weekend of December. One change that we already approved back in May was that the village tree will be at the corner of Mill Street and South Street, like it was last year. Changing the events to feature tree lighting on Friday night would dovetail with other events in town and allows the tree to be lit ahead of Saturday's events. There's dinner served at the Methodist Church from 4 to 6 Friday night, followed by caroling and window displays downtown that would lead right into tree lighting at 7 p.m. Lighting the tree in the dark of Friday allows for a brighter slate of events throughout Christmas in the village. Aw shucks. Saturday's details are still being worked out, but will largely feature traditional elements. The parade, Santa, food trucks make for a promising event. Details will be provided at a later date. They're being worked out by by the township, by the DDA, by Friends of Amos. There's all kinds of good people involved. I recommend that the Village Council make a motion to approve Christmas in the Village to include tree lighting on Friday, December 3rd at 7 p.m.
I make a motion to approve Christmas in the Village to include tree lighting on Friday, December 3rd at 7 p.m.
Support.
All right, we have a motion on the table by Trustee Nivell, supported by Trustee George. My brain's doing 2 things at once. Any questions or comments at this time?
Comment.
Please.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Nope, go right ahead. You were first.
Okay. The only thing with this, I'm not sure if you looked at the town hall. We have that scheduled as Parks and Rec employee. I'm speaking this. we had the hall because we were showing a movie. So the time,
Starting at 7:25 Friday night?
the movie. Okay, we could probably do that. I'll still set up, well, it'll be set up
Perfect.
early.
Was that
Yeah.
suggestive selling?
Well, it could be, yeah.
I can work with that. So if we can get that added to that,
That'd be great.
I'll let the movie people know.
Anything else, Tony?
No, that's it. That's all my concern.
Kate?
Well, I have a few comments. What is council going to do? And by that, I mean, are we going to walk in the parade? Are we going to do a float? Are we going to pass out candy? We've done this in the past, so I'm just bringing it up again. And then I wanted to know about luminaries too, when we're going to do that. And,
Well, won't that be coming
pardon me?
as far as information in the future?
Yeah, there's lots of details that have not been ironed out.
Well, I guess I was just saying, is the village interested at all in doing?
Well, this
Fair
is
question.
the Christmas in the Village weekend, so the luminaries is separate. So this
We can do
just
the luminaries
dress-
separate.
Right, so
Yeah.
this
But
just
as far as the parade, I mean, the parade's in here, so I'm
Yep.
asking, is that something we as a council would like to do something or not?
Well,
Fair point.
traditionally, the council does get involved in the setup of the luminaries.
Right, but that's a separate subject.
Oh, it's just a-
And I think the parade might be too.
Okay, we do no throwing, we hand them to the kids.
Of course.
So essentially, what I was going for here is that we set up the schedule to include Friday night, there's events,
Right.
and there's
Yes.
Saturday events.
Yep.
At a later date, we'll narrow those down a little more. I was a little prescriptive in some of the detail here. I'll defer to Matt if you want to add any better color to the commentary here.
The thought process behind the changes would be wonderful. I know you
Sorry to
guys have
just
been
throw it.
sharing a lot of information. So what is the thought behind these possible changes?
There has been talk in the past, one, that we have Small Business Saturday, the Saturday before Christmas in the Village, and then we kind of have an empty week, and then Christmas in the Village. There's been talk about trying to add elements to that week that would make it more of a celebration throughout
The week.
that full week. Another component is it has become more and more difficult to keep people for the full event from noon until a tree lighting. Hopefully it's dark enough at 5:30.
Right.
And usually it's a handful of folks like us in this room and the choir doing a few carols, and then we flip the switch. So, and that really is a regal event. It takes place in, communities all around us. And so there's examples of how they have done it away from their big day activity, their big Christmas in the Village. And so the handful of people who are working on plans for Christmas in the Village heard those things and said, well, why can't we do it differently? The other component is the ham dinner. Maybe we open up the ham dinner to a new audience if it's not at the end of Christmas in the Village, if it's the night before. Because families that come to Christmas in the Village and the kids saw Santa, they're all sugared up, whatever the case may be, they're not going to go sit for the ham dinner. They're going home.
Yeah.
So these
That's
are
true.
some of the components that and we had reached out to Tony and Fred regarding the movie for it to be on a different night from Saturday. Come to find out they were planning on it being on Friday. So there's some good synergy there. We heard back from the library that they are planning an activity midweek that week. So there is an opportunity. Of course, you have Cyber Monday that week as well as Giving Tuesday that week. So we're looking at other components to bring into that whole week. Christmas in the Village will be a traditional event. Our goal is to shorten the event and a 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock event on that Saturday, jam-packed with the traditional Christmas and family activities. The other thing that we've always fought with is the spirit of Christmas in the Village. Our job is to generate commerce, and there's a very significant percentage of those who attend Christmas in the Village. They're not interested in commerce. They want to come down for some holiday fun. And so we have to balance that, and being able to capitalize on Small Business Saturday for the commerce, stretch it into the week with Cyber Monday. That'll be our commerce generating focus. Certainly, we still have to get the businesses involved in Christmas in the Village. We want them involved, but it may not be, we may not focus on the shopping theme. We may focus on the community theme and the family fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so I think it's important to hear not only the options that we have, but the reasoning behind it. I think that makes a big difference. I know those of you that have spent a lot of time talking about it have put a lot of thought into it, and I know that helps us to kind of understand what the changes may be and why it would benefit us. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, do you know if they're still planning to do like the ornament exchange on the tree too, like they did?
That is on the list. Has it been worked through fully yet? Nope.
Because I think that was a lot of fun. I think a lot of people enjoyed that when they had that as the ornament exchange. That was a lot of fun. I know we made some things to put up there, and we were always thrilled when we saw that one of ours was gone, and somebody appreciated it, took it home.
Yeah, in year 2, hopefully that'll have a little more attention.
And there were some very windy days that made it challenging.
I was going to say it made it a little extra work for Bob and the crew, but they also enjoyed seeing the changes of the different ornaments. But I know it was, like you say, wind blows through and they kind of pick up and add to, but I think it's something that they don't mind that little effort in. Any other questions, comments?
My only other comment is if we are interested in doing a float, we need to start preparing for that.
And that's something we can talk about and email at any time, right?
It seems more and more there's just certain people or certain organizations that are in the parade, and we, try to expand it more and make it a little bit bigger, make it, something people really want to see.
And that's something we can freely talk about anytime because that's not necessary for a motion. So we can send out some emails and get ideas on what it would look like. And
I'll just point this out. The other option would be for the village council to be a cast of characters.
Well, we kind of already are.
Pat was...
I was going to say, me, Pat, and Tanya have been. Yeah.
Highlight of my
I loved it.
You did right
walking
then.
down the wood.
I think
yeah.
I'd be the Grinch because my license plate is Grinchy.
But if you need help with that again, Matt,
yeah.
I'll do it again. I enjoyed that.
We're
I'm
not
certainly
starting.
willing also.
all right, so I think we're ready for Jenna for a vote. And the motion was made by Trustee Nivelt and supported by Trustee Rendazzo. Anybody need the motion read? Are we ready for Jenna?
We're ready.
All right, Jenna, please.
Hazen,
Yes.
Nivell,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Rice.
Yes. That motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much to all that have been involved in the hard work thus far. And as you hear, council is interested in being a part of what we can. Thank you. All right. Item 14 is the village manager's report, please.
Okay, we got really close to a 2-hour meeting, so good work, everyone. We're gonna be a little over, but not too bad. So in your packet, you'll find a few things. You'll find the response to Ortonville residents for action, their motion for summary disposition. That's the upcoming hearing. It's scheduled for Wednesday. It will be via Zoom, but I don't have information about how to log on. So as soon as I get it from our attorney, I will share it with the village council. If anyone else is interested, let me know.
Yes.
But Yeah, I haven't, I emailed with him today and he hasn't gotten the information yet either, so forthcoming.
All right.
Any questions on that?
Just so we don't know,
Specifically, this Wednesday?
This Wednesday, yep, September 29th.
we don't know if it's AM or PM.
We think it's at 10 in the morning, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's up to the judge to set the docket
I'll put AM.
and to share the information and all that good stuff.
Ryan, you said earlier that Semcog was, or not Semcog, the people doing the streets are coming in on Wednesday.
Also Wednesday, September 29th, yep.
Do you have to be a part of that streets thing?
No, no.
So you'll be.
He just needs Bob.
Okay, but one of these things you'll be listening to, right?
Yeah, I'm like Batman. I'll be in 3 places at once.
There you go.
Thank you.
The bar's already like this high, so I might as well
Yeah, right on.
roll with it.
So
Next
you'll
up,
email it then to
as
us.
soon as I get information, I will share that,
Thank you,
yes.
sir.
Thank you.
Probably via email.
Good.
Next up, you'll find an update on American Rescue Plan funding. Essentially, we need to be in no rush to spend the money that is allocated to us. We have until December 2024 to commit the money, December of 2026 to spend the money. We got an update today from the state treasury. As a non-entitlement unit of local government, our money comes through the state treasury office. And so we heard today from the treasury office that our application is going to be rejected, which dun dun dun, but it's because there was one piece of information that was incorrect on our form. Most municipalities had several things to correct. It's a very normal part of this, so it'll be technically rejected. Beth will be able to resubmit our application yet this week, and so we should be seeing the first tranche of money received in the next week or so from the state treasury. In the meantime, there's lots of learning opportunities, so if you have questions about how we could spend the money, what other places are doing, things like that, I list some resources there like the National League of Cities, Michigan Municipal League, Michigan State University Extension. There's other ones. Semcog has lots of good webinars and workshops to consider what might be the best fit for our municipality when it comes to ARP money. Any questions on that? Hot topic. We're going to spend it wisely. All right, next you'll find information about our bridge inspections. They took place on September 13th, and you might not have even known it. But our 3 bridges in the village were inspected. I have the full packet of information that it'll put you right to sleep. But our bridges were all fine. If there was anything major, we would be discussing that at this point. Any and all maintenance will be completed and taken care of as part of the 2022 bridge work that's to be done with Rowe Engineering. Lots of fun stuff coming with that. I've met with Rowe several times and with the Department of Transportation to schedule those projects, and more information coming, but all 3 will be worked on fairly extensively in 2022. Questions about bridges? Let's get over it. Next up, DPW Labor Hiring. We had posted in the Citizen about hiring a DPW laborer. After talking more with Bob and talking to each applicant, we realized that it would be more beneficial to hire 2 workers rather than 1 worker at 35 hours a week. Hire 2 people at more like 21 hours per week. That's 3 days a week. That gives us more. There are certain tasks, certain jobs that require more bodies, and so to have more flexibility, especially come winter, that's what we've pursued. We have limited resources in the village. This might not be news to us, but we made 2 offers. We received responses from several candidates. Made 2 offers. One of them chose to pass at this time. One we hope to be starting later this week.
Good.
And in the meantime, we are looking at reposting, looking for another person for the 21 hours per week. Any questions there?
So none of the other applicants you would be interested in?
Not at this time,
Okay, so.
but we will reach out, see if
Okay.
they're still interested.
About their September Fest, they were doing a really good job.
They,
I was hoping that
They
we could
work
have had
hard.
somebody working, but, so you think by the end of this week, we'll have someone on staff?
we're working through the hiring process right now. Yes,
Brian?
yes.
Question, are we off the idea of sharing this person you know, for the ordinance thing.
Yeah, we had talked about using a person who's part DPW and part code enforcement. At this time, yes. We had talked about it. It didn't make as much sense as having two people part-time.
Okay.
Was what Bob and I have concluded and we're working towards. It's not a perfect answer. If we had $1 million, we'd have a better answer. Other questions? Okay. And you'll find information about Veterans Resource Fairs. Oakland County is having several of these right now. I have posters in my office, so if you have a place that you would like to promote Veterans Resource Fairs more widely, I have a couple posters I'd be happy to share with you. Any questions on those? Okay, and then an update on M15 Construction. You may have noticed a little bit of work happening on M15. They're putting in storm drains to address storm water that impacts the area around the intersection. It is an MDOT maintenance project, so it hasn't been advertised in all the same ways that some other projects are. They're working on it. It's very difficult to pour concrete when you're getting inches and inches of rain every day. They are behind schedule. They've run into other issues. It's an adventure over there. So I speak with, and Jenna and I both talk to the people from MDOT fairly often about this, and it's they're doing the best they can. Questions on that?
As long as they do it right, it doesn't have to be done.
That's the big thing, is they're doing it right. And finally, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm flattered. Thanks for all the support and the whole performance evaluation. Oh, so fun. Thank you for doing that. I think the best way that you can support me to address Pat's concerns is support the staff. We've got limited resources. We're stretched in a million different ways. I can't do it by myself. I get a lot of the spotlight in this role, but it's the staff that actually does the nuts and bolts, does the dirty work. So the way you can support me is by supporting the staff in lots of different ways.
Okay.
Yes.
That's it for manager's report.
Thank you very much. Again, busy September, we appreciate it. Item 15 will be the public comments on non-agenda items only. If there's something you have to share with us on a non-agenda item, please remember you have 3 minutes to speak and we would love to hear from you. And I'll stand up at once. Matt, would you like to plug those items, or would you like me to do that in the trustee other comments with your the October downtown events? All right. Item 16 will be the additional items from our trustees, and we will start with Trustee Randazzo, please.
Okay. Well, as everybody knows, Septemberfest was this past Saturday. I want to personally thank Melanie and Kay, and especially Kay, for sticking around to announce the winner of the Village Awards for the car show. That was a long day, but it was fun. The other thing, and again, I speak on this as an employee of Fred Waybrand's. He wanted me to bring this up tonight. We are looking to purchase a screen to go on that wall. It would be, I'll just give you feet. It's about 10.5 feet wide, 6.5 feet tall, and 12.5 feet diagonal. It's not just for Brandon Township's use, it would be for anybody's use. But it's a type of screen that it's got little grommets, so you can hang it and leave it, and you just use it. We're going to get it, but we also want to make sure that council is okay if we do that, that we can keep it up there again. So it would, we talked about command strips, which I don't really agree with. And then putting in like the metal J hooks, the small ones, into the wall. That way it would support it. And like I said, they wouldn't fall. So, not really sure what we gotta do about that, but
So those are things we defer to Ryan to handle,
Okay.
maintenance and placement of things and.
okay.
The only concern that I would have, and I don't even know if it's a big concern, but because we rent this out, would that be something, you know, obviously we don't want it ruined.
No,
or someone
and
would-
yeah, no, we talked about that too. It would, that's why we decided that we're not gonna get one that stands up. It's gonna be on the wall.
Okay.
And also, I did tell Fred that we could probably get like an insurance thing on it, but it's like 30 or 40 bucks. I mean, it's not.
For the insurance or for this thing
No,
that
for
you want to
for the
get?
actual screen.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, it's just something, because we would like to start utilizing it as, you know.
Sure.
I would have gotten a hold of you earlier, but I was busy. But I guess I can talk to Ryan about that tomorrow, and we can go from there. But we just don't want to poke holes in the wall if we don't
I
want to.
certainly would hope they coordinate with the village first.
Well, and you know, especially like tonight, perfect example with what we've seen there. You know, we can have the screen up, although it looked good up there. I don't know how pictures and, you know, movies would look on that wall. That's why we were trying to push it through, I guess.
I mean, they're not gonna go for the one that sits up there and then can lower down.
Right. And it rolls
Yeah,
up.
that's out of the
Yeah.
$30 range.
Taking donations.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you. We look forward to that for the movie night.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's, and, yeah, that's, I believe that's it.
Excellent. Thank you. Trustee Nina, please.
Okay, and I know Ryan had mentioned this, but the regional meeting for ARPA local government funding, if you can register for it. I have registered for that SIMCOG meeting, and I think all of us could really benefit from that. I've been taking as many webinars that I can take on ARP and the funding just to educate myself, and I think it would behoove all of us to do as much of that as we can so we're up to speed with the ARP funding when we start really getting into talks. Again, thank you about the wayfinding. Ryan, thank you for everything you do, and I want to, not that I'm speaking for everyone, but you have 7 people here on council and 7 people on planning commission. I think that would gladly help you with anything, so please reach out if you need help with any type of project. I think all of us would be willing to do that. We know you have a lot on your plate, and you're juggling a lot all the time, and we do appreciate it. And then I just had one question about, are we doing a shed over at the, are we doing that this year? Not doing it?
Are we doing what?
The shed,
Yeah, so
to whatever you want to call it.
Our last meeting, we talked about a storage shed on the north side of the salt barn at the DPW
Yeah.
garage.
Yeah.
I'm awaiting bids
Okay.
or more information on the cost.
Do you think
Waiting
it's
to
more
update that.
next spring thing now? maybe?
The way the calendar is falling for contractors, it may become a spring thing.
Okay.
But it's very difficult. Same with painting the old mill. It's very difficult to get people to get on their schedule this late in the year.
Yeah.
So we're trying.
Cool. That's it.
Thank you very much. Claire?
First of all, I think Septemberfest turned out good. Things were a little slow, things were a bit down, but morning starting out very wet and dreary, but at least the weather turned, and by the end of the day, I think that a lot of people were out there enjoying it. I would like to really give a huge thank you to our CERT team who was out there. We had people out there from 6:30 in the morning all the way until 6 o'clock at night. Some of those people worked pretty much all day with very little breaks and stuff like that because we were so short-handed on the CERT team. And We had, one of our members had a medical situation, so he couldn't make it in the morning, and we scrambled to rearrange to get that done. And we also had another one who couldn't make it in the afternoon, so with very few people, they were able to handle the event, keep it a safe event, and so I really have to commend all of our CERT team. And I, again, have to also emphasize to the community, we go out there and do what we can for the community. It's all volunteers, and anybody who's looking for opportunity to volunteer and help out and show their appreciation for the community and give back, certainly consider signing up for CERT, and you can contact the fire department. You can look for our website, and you know, it's a great way to give back to the community. And those guys, it's just unbelievable what they're willing to do just to make sure that we have these events and can hold them safe and such like that. And I also commend the fire department and the DPW who also were out there at early morning and all that wet weather and all that stuff, and all the volunteers. Tanya was there in the morning too, helping check the vendors and stuff. So everybody who put into that event, I just a big thank you to everybody who made that a successful event. I'm looking forward to Halloween. I'm wearing my First Fest shirt in honor of the season. So I'm hoping everybody, I'm going to encourage everybody in the community to decorate up for Halloween. Because I think that makes it a lot more fun for all the people who come into our community, and especially for the kids who really enjoy seeing all those decorations and have so much fun trick-or-treating. So looking forward to that, and Witches Night Out and Homecoming Parade. We got a lot of events out there, and people come into the town and enjoy it, okay? And that's all I have to say.
Absolutely. All right, how about Kate, please?
Me? Okay. Just trying to write that down. Yeah, I was going to say, you know, Septemberfest, everybody that worked, it really was an all-day event, and everybody wore a lot of different hats that day. And even though it did start out dreary, the sun came out and lots of people came down. It probably was not as well attended as others, but it certainly, you know, wasn't a total bomb. And surprisingly, there were only about 2 or 3 empty spots for vendors, at least from what I was looking at, the vacant spots. So that was good. Most of the vendors showed up. And the car show, again, I think there were we ended up with like 23 cars that showed up. But again, people don't want to bring their nice cars out when it's raining or the potential of. So I was happy that at least, you know, we had a good showing. And again, CERT, I know Larry stood out there all morning long. Tanya was out there all morning. And it is a lot of work because you're just standing on your feet, Matt, and on the eats and the trucks on the Friday night. And I guess I heard a few complaints. People didn't, you know, there was a football game or whatever, but it would have been crazy to hold it on Thursday night because 0 people would have went in the rain. I mean, and we had a pretty good, I don't know how the trucks did, but I think we had a pretty good showing. So I was glad to see that went well. And again, the DPW and Ryan and his team, they always step up. Again, Matt is always, at all functions, he's out there working. And the DPW, just putting all those garbage cans up. And because where my booth was, I heard, you know, when I'd stop by there, I would hear people, they were so excited that these garbage cans had lids. It was like, wow, that was, you know, and I guess, you know, in years past they didn't. So kudos to whoever decided to get the garbage cans with the lids.
Community disposal.
They're amazing. Community.
Yeah, they did a great job. So, and the Lions Club, you know, they couldn't do it Thursday because of the pouring down rain, and then Sunday they shut down because nobody showed up, and the weather was funny, and again, there's nothing you can do about the weather, so, you know, there's always next year. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. George?
Again, very pleased with the overall agenda tonight. What's on it, we talked about how we talked about it. I think it's been real good these last months, longer than that. So I know a lot of that is Ryan's input in that. I appreciate the work that we're doing. Things are happening. Ryan, I don't know if this is a good time for me to mention this, but I think the elephant out there to me still, from a money standpoint, is we've got, in 1 month, we've got people voting on a $26 million bond extension for the school district. And what I would like to let them know about, and I think I will, is that hopefully down the road, we're also going to be talking about sewer money. So, right now, I haven't seen anything about it except from the school standpoint. I understand that they're pushing their product, but I want the people of this community to know also that, give me the time frame, Ryan, best case scenario on a sewer proposal, 5 years?
If you're putting me on the spot, I will be attending a meeting next Monday, October 4th, with several other municipalities and representatives and stuff, and I'll have more information then. So I'm going to punt for now.
All I'm bringing it up now for is the fact that in 1 month, people are going to be pulling levers for that $26 million, and I want them to know that down the road is also hopefully something from a sewer standpoint too. So that's it.
But that 26 is not,
I know.
it's not an increase.
Yeah, it's not an increase.
No, but it's,
Where the other will be an increase.
right. But again, that's $26 million that people aren't going to get back in your pocket.
Right, that's true.
That's all.
That's true.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. First thing I would like to do is recognize our Citizen of the Year.
For the last time.
A very wonderful event at Septemberfest. If you didn't get a chance to see it, it is on OTV and it will be showing soon. Very well recognized. We appreciate all the information the citizen leading up to and explaining. Obviously, we appreciate everything that you do for us. We are a little biased. You are one of our favorites. So very well recognized and deserved. So thank you very, very much. You stayed, it's your fault.
That's right.
Just a reminder, as everybody has mentioned, Eats in the Streets, wonderful, Septemberfest, wonderful. There are amazing events coming up in October as well. Keep your eye out for Witches Night. Not only can you attend, you can also volunteer. So reach out to anybody and they will set you to the right people, depending on what your talents are or wishes to help out on Witches Night. We take warlocks too, so please keep that in mind. As mentioned, the homecoming parade will be coming up. Businesses are involved in that as well. That's a fun event downtown. We have Buy Nearby Weekend, which is October 1st through the 3rd. Information for that can be found on the DDA's website.
What was that again?
Buy Nearby Weekend, and that is local businesses, supporting your local businesses. The Sweater Weather Shopping Contest is the month of October. So keep that in mind. We did do that last year as well. That was well received. So would like to repeat that again. It's never too early to do your Christmas shopping, so keep that in mind. Then Halloween, as discussed. So we have a very fun October. Lots of ways to support your community, lots of ways to be involved and volunteer, and lots of ways to support our businesses. So thank you very much. Anything, Ryan, that you needed to add at all that you didn't get to?
I think, I don't think so. I think we're good.
All right. And I think, very sadly, we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
We have a motion on the table by Trustee Green, supported by Trustee Rendazzo. Any questions or comments? Jenna, please.
Michael?
Yes.
Randazzo?
Yep.
George? Green?
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Thank you very much. That motion carries 6-0. It is 9:24. Have a fabulous evening.